Good afternoon, dear student of class 7th. This is your computer science class. In today's session, we are going to discuss the very first chapter, that is internal hardware component. As you can see in this diagram, there is a monitor. There is basically a system in which some input devices are there, some output devices are there, and some chips, that is known as internal hardware components, are there. I'm just going to show you. This is a monitor, that is your output device, that is keyboard, input device, mouse, input device, speaker, output device, power supply, DVD ROM, main board, that is known as PCB, also printed circuit board or motherboard, CPU fan, that is cooling fan, RAM chip, ROM chip, VGA card, sound card, hard disk, and reader all in one internals. So all these components are known as internal hardware component, because all these components placed inside the motherboard basically, and motherboard basically placed inside the case. What is case? Case is known as CPU cabinet, that is CPU cabinet, or sometimes it is also known as system unit. Clear? So in this chapter, we will discuss all the internal hardware component of your computer system, that is basically uh, resists inside the motherboard, that is also known as main board, PCB, printed circuit board. Okay. So coming to the next, that is your chapter name. First page, internal hardware component. Internal hardware components parts are installed inside the system unit. These are the system units that we have already discussed. The CPU cabinet is also known as system unit. CPU cabinet. Okay. For example, RAM chip, ROM chip, CPU chip, motherboard, network card, sound card, video card, disk drive, Blu-ray disc, CD drives, DVD drives, and many more things. Okay, all these things are installed inside the system unit, and in the system unit, where all these components are installed basically. In system unit, all these components are installed on the motherboard, on the where motherboard. So firstly, we are going to discuss about the motherboard. What is basically motherboard? Okay. Then we will discuss these components individually: CPU, RAM, ROM, video card, sound card, network card, and many more things. Okay. So motherboard, as the name suggests, the board is the mother of all component. It is also known as the motherboard of. It is a board of all the. It is bold, basically the mother of all components. Why? Because all the components, all the internal hardware components are connected through or connected in motherboard for communicating with each other, or transmitting the data individually or with each other basically. So these devices are connected, or you can say that placed or installed inside the motherboard. So motherboard, it is the most important and main circuit board, okay, of your computer system. It is also known as PCB, printed circuit board. Printed circuit board, PCB, printed circuit board. Clear? Okay. So the base of motherboard has a film plastic sheet. A plastic sheet there is. Okay. The motherboard gets its name from the fact that the board is the mother of all the components. Basically, if we compare the system, human system and computer system, if we compare human system to the computer system, or this is a human system. So backbone of the human system is equally to the motherboard of the computer system. Motherboard is equal to the backbone, spinal cord of the human system. Okay, because all the components of human systems are connected through backbone. So motherboard is fitted inside the cabinet of the system unit, that is CPU cabinet. It connects various parts of the computer: CPU, hard drives, sound card, optical drives, other expansion slots, cards, with the help of cables. The functioning of the motherboard may be compared to the buses terminals, meaning the junctions of all devices. Basically, what is the purpose of motherboard? The purpose of motherboard is basically it provide the junction or provide a particular environment in which the computer internal hardware components are connected in that manner in which they can communicate with each other. All the activities pertaining to the devices that are connected through motherboard begin and ends with in the motherboard. Whatever activity you are going to start, it starts from motherboard and it ends within motherboard. Clear? Now coming to the next. Motherboard mainly comprises processor chip, that is CPU, BIOS, basic input output systems, memory chips, RAM and ROM. BIOS we will be discussing the later. BIOS is basically basic input output system. In booting time, it runs all the devices, all the hardware components that are running or not, that is running in a smooth manner or not. That is a part of BIOS. Internal storage, external storage controllers to display the image, and for the sound, basically expansion slots. Each and every device we will discuss later on. Okay, so first internal hardware component is peripheral component, that is known as PCI slots. This is known as PCI slots. Have you seen that, this kind of slots? So this kind of slots is known as PCI slots, that is used to provide the connection between the motherboard and any other hardware devices for transmitting data and power. Okay, it is just like a Ethernet cable. Basically, here you can put Ethernet cable for transmitting the data between your devices, or you can say that from the sending or receiving the data from the servers, basically. Clear? So that is the purpose of PCI slots, and PCI slots are introduced by the Intel in 1992. Okay, so you have to learn. Next, sound card. Sound card is used to record the audio by using microphone. Okay, sound card is also a hardware component. It is also fitted in the motherboard. Okay, it receives the signals, it receives, or you can say that it converts the digital data into where, in the which form? Sound form. It converts the digital data into sound and vice versa. The coming sounds it convert into digital data, means it transfer the digital data into the sound while the data is sending. It takes the input data in the form of digital. It takes digital data as an input and convert into the sound waveforms. On the receiving it, it receives the sound waves and convert into the digital data. So that's why it is written here. It converts the data digital data to sound and vice versa. Clear? It is also used to reproduce recording audio using a microphone. Okay. So this is used for provide basically better sound quality. Okay. Now coming to the next, this is your sound card. Now coming to the next, video card. Video card is an expansion card. Basically, it is also known as graphics card. The video card has the processing memory and the memory unit. Basically, it is sometimes it is also known as GPU, graphical processing unit, graphics processing unit. Basically used for high definition graphics if you want to run in your computer system, there is a need of video card. Basically it generates a video output on the display screen, monitors, projectors, TVs, for improving the quality, basically quality of the displayed images. Okay, now coming to the next, what is central processing unit? So central processing unit, as you know very well, it is also known as what? Microprocessor. It monitors the instructions received from the hardware, means input devices. Okay. The CPU is a small square rectangular shaped silicon chip. As you can see in this diagram, it is fixed into the CPU socket on the motherboard. It is also fitted on the motherboard. Okay. It consists of millions of transistors. These are the transistors. Okay. Like this, it is not the same. It holds different types of transistors here. Okay. This is the RAM basically. This is not a CPU, which performs a wide range of functions. The CPU speeds is determined by the number of instructions it carries out per second. Per second, how many instructions it is carried? If it is carried thousands instructions, so its speed is in thousands Mbps. Okay, megahertz, gigahertz, petahertz. Okay, so this type of measurements, it is considered by the CPU. Okay, CPU has three components basically: memory unit, arithmetic logic unit, and control unit. What is the purpose of memory unit? It is store both the data and instructions that entered into the computer system. Whatever the data is going to enter in the computer system, it is stored. Memory unit basically. Okay, MU. Arithmetic logic unit, it performs as the name suggests. What is the meaning of arithmetic? Arithmetic means any kind of arithmetic calculation, arithmetic operations like plus symbol, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Okay, now there is another part of CPU, that is control unit. As the name suggests, control means it regulates the function of each and every component of a computer system, because it is a controlling unit. So it regulates the function of each and every component of a computer system, including the transfer of the data, instructions between the other units of the computer. Control unit is just like a controller which control all these things. The data is passing, the data is coming from one device to another device to other device. Okay, so that is the working of CPU. Clear? What is CPU? CPU is known as central processing unit. It is basically a chip. It is basically a small square rectangular shaped silicon chip. It is fixed on a CPU sockets. CPU speed basically determines the number of instructions is executed or carried out per second. It has main three components: memory unit, arithmetic logic unit, and control unit. Memory unit, it is used to store the data instructions. Arithmetic logic unit, it is used to perform the arithmetic operation, and the control unit is used to control the data is transferring from one device to another device. Clear? So that is the functioning of CPU.